The way I like to think about the Burano is if a Venice 2 and an FX9 had a baby, this would be it. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan Nicholas. I'm a director of photography, mostly working in documentary series. Today we're going to talk about the Burano version 2.0 update. For the past year, I've been shooting on the Burano. This is by far the best documentary camera that I've ever used. This new firmware update is going to make this thing bulletproof. So with the new update, all these different image modes opens up so many possibilities of all the different kinds of lenses and glass you can use, right? So full frame, anamorphic, Super 35, it's all gonna look gorgeous with this new update. All right, so one thing I really love about this new software update, you can stay in full frame whether you're in 8.6K, 6K, or 3.8K. And now in the 3.8K, you can go all the way up to 120 frames a second. We've tested the 3.8K, it is gorgeous. The crop factor from the 6K to the 3.8K is very minimal. Me personally, I own 2 sets of vintage rehoused full frame lenses. If I need to quickly go from 24 frames a second to 120 frames a second, I don't want to have to change a lens because I know a crop is about to happen, right? So my image doesn't change. The only thing that's changing is my frames per second. Now I can maximize the characteristics of these lenses all the time. One of my favorite things, now there is a 4:3 sensor mode for anamorphic work. This past year, I've been shooting a project where I've shot spherical and anamorphic in the same project. I wanted to shoot 1:3 anamorphic on a 4:3 chip so that I could then de-squeeze it to 16:9, matching my spherical work. The Burano was not capable of that, so we had to keep going back to a Venice 2. But now, with this firmware update, I can do everything with one camera. That for me was a massive game changer. When we were testing this camera, we were shooting both spherical and anamorphic glass. With the new update, all that is achievable with just a couple pushes of a button. The anamorphic modes are 2x, a new 1.8, a 1.5, and 1.3. And those can be accessed whether in Super 35 4:3 mode, all the way up to your 8K full frame mode. Another great thing about this firmware update is the monitor out. Now your SDI out has a OSD surround view, so now all of your camera info is not laying on top of your image. It's now on an outer periphery, just like the Venice 2 is. So as a camera operator, it's always frustrating to have all of this information on top of my frame when I'm trying to compose an image, right? It's just an unneeded distraction that I'm very glad they fixed with this firmware update. Another great thing with the firmware update is the exposure tool, the high and low key. With one touch of a button, you can check your highlights, check your shadows, and make sure everything is still within a workable range while you're monitoring a 709 image. I don't have to turn on false color. I don't have to turn my waveform off and on. It's really important to have. We now have 8 dedicated white balance presets. For me on my shows, we have a lot of dedicated locations and a lot of different white balances. So to be able to preset all those white balances and have them in camera ready to go, just makes things that much faster. Another reason I love this camera is the variable ND. Many times on projects that I work on, I find myself going in and out of extreme bright or dark situations, whether I'm doing a ride along in a car or going in and out of rooms. I can easily adjust my exposure with the touch of a wheel. That also means that I don't have to change my T-stop, right? So I choose lenses for how they look at certain T-stops to be able to keep my T-stop where I want it all the time, but still adjust exposure seamlessly without filters coming in and out is a dream come true. This new update basically makes this the Swiss Army knife of cameras. It can do anything and everything from 8.6K all the way down to 2K. For whatever budget you are working with, there is a record format to match it. Whatever show that comes my way now, this is the go-to camera. It can do everything. It's just rock solid. It's the best documentary camera that's ever come along, and I don't see anything beating it anytime soon.